Hey you all, it's me, Dr. Rucker again. Like always, missing you guys so much. Today I'm coming to you with lesson 3 for our K-2 students of our Freedom Express unit. This lesson, lesson 3, is freedom of speech and press or expression. This is also dealing with Amendment 1. Last week we talked about Amendment 1, and then in our first lesson we we defined all of the amendments. So you can refer back to your first week's amendments so that you're able to better understand what each amendment means as we move along this unit, okay? So again, lesson 3, freedom of speech and press or expression, amendment 1. This assignment should be completed on 9/8/2020, okay? So the essential question, what you should be able to answer by the time we're finished with this lesson is, can you express your thoughts, opinions, and ideas how you want? Why or why not? Again, can you express your thoughts, opinions, and ideas how you want to? Explain to me why, okay? So the materials you will need for this lesson is simply your packet, all right? So the first thing, and this is your packet, I'm sorry. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do for this packet is, no, wait, that's not the right packet. I'm sorry, that was last week's packet. This is your packet, this one, okay? The first thing that we're going to do with this one is review our word list. So the first thing on your packet, it says Mind's Eye Strategy, okay? Terms from the case, Hazelwood School District versus Comer, 1988. So it should be students, and repeat after me just like we would in the classroom, okay? Students, opinion, school newspaper, article, principal, court, rights, First Amendment, and violation, okay? So what I want you to do is visualize each of those words, okay? Think about it. Close your eyes and think about each of those words. And I want you to create a mental picture, all right? Then I want you to draw a picture of what you see when you hear those words. So pause this video, and I want you to draw a picture of students, opinion, school newspaper, article, principal, court, rights, First Amendment, and violation. So hit that pause button. All right, we're back. Okay, so now that you've gone over the vocabulary terms, you've drawn pictures of what you felt those vocabulary terms were, we're going to get into the case about Hazelwood School Districts versus Comer. All right, so that's right on the back. It's this one. It's labeled, okay? So, Hazelwood School District versus Comer, 1988. Issue. The issue means we have a problem, okay? The student journalism and the First Amendment is our issue. The bottom line, schools can censor student newspapers. Background knowledge, okay? Kathy Comer, Leslie Smart, and Leanne Tippett, juniors at Hazelwood East High School in St. Louis, Missouri, helped write and edit the school paper, The Spectrum, as part of a journalism class. An issue of the paper was to include articles about the impact of divorce on students. The school's principal refused to publish the story, saying they were too sensitive for younger students and contained too many personal details. The girls went to court claiming their First Amendment right to freedom of expression had been violated. Ruling, meaning this is what the judge decided, okay? The Supreme Court ruled against the girls. A school newspaper isn't a public place in which anyone can voice an opinion. The court said, but rather a supervised learning experience for students interested in journalism. Sorry, y'all. I'm going to keep going. Educators do not offend the First Amendment by exercising editorial control over the style and content of student speech in school-sponsored expressive activities. The court said, so long as their actions are reasonably related to legitimate educational concerns. All right, so basically the court saying that the girls basically don't have the right to put what they want to put in the school newspaper. That means that we all could just publish whatever we want in the school newspaper, and it may not be appropriate for the reader. Okay?
Dr. Jackson, you're needed in the coaching suite. Dr. Jackson, you're needed in the coaching suite.
Not me, Dr. Jackson is needed, not myself. Anyway, I'm sorry. Impact. Schools may regulate newspapers and stop other forms of student expression, including plays, yearbooks, creative writing assignments, and campaign and graduation speeches. But the court's ruling in Hazelwood encourages schools to look closely at a student activity before imposing any restrictions and to balance the goal of maintaining high standards for student speech with students' right to free expression. Okay? Pretty much what it's saying is, although the girls could not publish the article about divorce in their high school newspaper because of the details, it did impact student expression when it comes to other aspects of school and their different clubs and their different campaigns and the different things that they do. So although the courts ruled against them, the girls did create an avenue for other aspects of school to be looked at where you can express yourself. Okay? So now that we've read that article, right? What we're going to do is review 3 different scenarios or cases that have occurred over time. And what we're going to do, I want you to compare and contrast. You can choose. It's your choice. Freedom of choice. Any 2 of these cases or scenarios to compare and contrast them. We know when we compare, we tell how things are alike, and when we contrast, we tell how things are different. Okay. So the first one we have is Ledoux. I believe I'm saying it correct. Ledoux versus Gilio, 1994. The facts that we have here: in 1990, Margaret Gilio placed a sign in the yard of her home in Ledoux, Missouri. The sign said, "Say no to war in the Persian Gulf. Call Congress now." The city of Ledoux had a law against yard signs and told Ms. Gilio to take her signs down. Ms. Gilio sued the city of Ledoux for violating her First Amendment rights. The issue, when we see issue, we have a problem. Was Ledoux's law against signs unconstitutional? All right. Case history. Margaret Gilio sued the city of Ledoux in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Missouri. The court supported her and stopped the city of Ledoux from enforcing the law. Ledoux appealed the decision, and the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals also found in Ms. Ledoux's favor, meaning that she won. She can put that sign in her yard. The city of Ledoux then asked the U.S. Supreme Court to review the case. The decision, meaning the judgment, this is what they decided on. The U.S. Supreme Court supported the earlier decisions. It said that the city violated the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. The First Amendment protects political speech. The value of protecting personal political speech is more important than the city of Ledoux's desire to keep the city free of clutter. So, I know you guys, when you're riding around town, you probably see a lot of yard signs, especially during this time or maybe a few months ago where it was time for us to vote. We have a lot of things, a lot of times candidates campaign and they place signs in different yards as to get your attention so that you can vote for that party. Also, during these times that we're living in, we see other signs supporting certain groups or demographics of people. So you may see a sign in support of a lot of different groups. Just go ahead and take a scroll throughout your neighborhoods or around town, and I'm sure you'll come across at least one. If you do, take a picture so that Dr. Rucker can see what's in your neighborhoods, okay? The next one we have is Tinker versus Des Moines Independent School District in 1969. The issue, we have a problem. Freedom of speech at school. The bottom line, you have the right to express yourself up to a point. The background. In December 1965, John and Mary Beth Tinker and their friend Chris Eckhart wore black armbands to school in Des Moines, Iowa to protest the war in Vietnam. School officials told them to remove the armbands. They refused and were suspended. John was 15 from North High. Mary Beth, 13, from Warren Harding Junior High, and Chris, 16, from Roosevelt High. With their parents, they sued the school district, claiming a violation of their First Amendment right of freedom of speech. Ruling. The Supreme Court supported the students, meaning they won. The court, as long as an act of expression doesn't disrupt classwork or school activities or invade the rights of others, it's acceptable. Regarding the students, in this case, their expression was only to wear a band of black cloth on their sleeve. The court said this caused discussion outside of the classrooms, but was not disruptive in the classrooms. In 1986, the impact. In 1986, applying the disruption test from the Tinker case, the Supreme Court upheld the suspension of Matthew Frazier, a 17-year-old senior at Bethel High School in Tacoma, Washington, who gave a school speech containing inappropriate words. The court said it is a highly appropriate function of public school education to stop the use of vulgar and offensive terms in public. Lower courts have relied on Tinker and rulings on school attire, allowing nose rings and dyed hair, for example, but disallowing a t-shirt displaying inappropriate pictures or words. All right, that's our second one. And then our last one is one that I'm sure probably rings a bell with majority of you. Colin Kaepernick explains why. That will be this one. Okay. He sat during National Anthem by Steve Weish, 2016 NFL media reporter. Santa Clara, California, San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick refused to stand for the national anthem. He did so to protest wrongdoings against African Americans and minorities in the United States. He has chosen to do this at least 2 times. I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that mistreats people of color, Kaepernick told NFL media in an exclusive interview after the game. The 49ers issued a statement about Kaepernick's decision. The national anthem is and always will be a special part of the pregame ceremony. It is an opportunity to honor our country and reflect on the great liberties we are afforded as its citizens. In respecting such American principles as freedom of religion and freedom of expression, we recognize the right of an individual to choose and participate or not in our celebration of the national anthem. Niners coach Chip Kelly told reporters Saturday that Kaepernick's decision not to stand during the national anthem is his right as a citizen, and said, "It's not my right to tell him not to do something." The NFL also released a statement. Players are encouraged but not required to stand during the playing of the national anthem. Kaepernick joins other athletes like the NBA's Dwayne Wade, Chris Paul, LeBron James, and Carmelo Anthony, and several WNBA players in using their jobs as players to let others know their concerns about how people of color are treated in the U.S. Refusal to support the American flag as a means to take a stand has brought incredible consequences before and likely will in this instance. For example, a player named Chris Jackson refused to acknowledge the flag in protest, giving similar reasons as Kaepernick and saying that it conflicted with some of his Islamic beliefs. Chris Jackson was briefly suspended by the NBA before a compromise was worked out between the league and player, who eventually stood with his teammates and coaches at the playing of the national anthem. Kaepernick said that he is aware of what he is doing and that he knows many will not agree, including some of his teammates and coaches. "I'm not looking for approval. I have to stand up for the people that are oppressed. If they take football away, my endorsements from me, I know that I stood up for what is right." He said that he has discussed his feelings with his family, and after months of witnessing some of the civil unrest in the U.S., he decided to be more active and involved in rights for Black people. Kaepernick, who is biracial, was adopted and raised by white parents and siblings. The former Super Bowl starting quarterback's decision to go public comes while he is fighting for his football life, which, as we know, this was written in 2016, and he basically lost his job. So he lost his starting job last season after being one of the most promising players in the NFL during his run under former coach Jim Harbaugh. Over the past few months, his relationship with management has gone bad. He requested a trade last spring. This again was in 2016, which never came. Kaepernick has yet to be picked up by a football team since he expressed himself by kneeling during the national anthem. All right, so we've read all 3 articles. I hope that even if you want to go back, highlight some of those key details, and I want you to choose 2 out of Tinker versus Moines Independent Schools, Laud versus Gilio, and the Colin Kaepernick. Choose 2 of those to compare and contrast, okay? 2 out of those 3. Then, the last thing that we're going to do is right here on the back, all right? I want you to define words from the following quote by Frederick Douglass and state meanings in your own words. Don't Google it. Don't look it up. Just what do you think the meaning is, okay? The quote says, "To suppress free speech is a double wrong. It violates the rights of the hearer as well as those of the speaker." Frederick Douglass, 1860. So we have on the left side, we have suppress, violates, double wrong, free speech, hearer, and speaker. Then in the right column, I want you to simply, can you see that? There we go. Right column. Simply write what in your own words what you think that word means. And that's it. I hope I've explained in detail what it is expected of you. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact me at ruckerad at fultonschools.org. Okay? Y'all have a good one. Miss you all so much.